welcome to Bookwood. Hi, I'm glad you chose to spend some time with me. If you haven't met before, my name is Mashou and I create bookish and journal content over here on YouTube. Welcome in my first bi-weekly carousel vlog for March. In this vlog, I'm going to talk to you about all the books that I have read up till now. I'm filming this, it is Wednesday 11th. This vlog will be closed the 15th. So there will be at least, I hope, 2 more books, maybe 3 more books that will be added to this vlog. At this point, I can only tell you that we are going to talk about the books that we have read and maybe also a little bit of the reading accessories that my husband makes for me. But first things first, this is my book wall in case you didn't notice. It is my husband who created that for me, and I will leave a link down below and maybe up there in the corner to the video in which we are making that. My husband 3D printed these hooks for me so that I can display the books I am reading in a particular month. And he also created with a laser cut printer the Bookwood logo that we have over here. He also created, it is not finished yet, this bookshelf, which is the shelf that holds all the library books that we have in our house. We read mainly through the library. We have a vlog about that as well. It is quite old, it is from last year. I will also link it in case you're interested. And maybe I'll have to make an update about that even if things did not change. So let's start by saying also that this month has been incredibly well at the start. There where February was a real disaster with the flu and a lot of things happening at the start of the month and me almost not reading at all. This month I have up till now read 7 books, which is amazing because I turn up at around 10 books each month, 10, 12 books. So I think this month will be exceptional. Why? Well, normally when I get home from the library and I got all the books that I want to read that month, I do mood pick in my selection of books. And this month I did not. I timed a little bit when I was going to read which book. And it has several reasons. The first one is that TBRathon weekend, I really wanted not to have a book pending over the weekend and having the time to read the books I set out for that. I did read those. You can see that in my previous video. But I did have a book. I had a book pending. But also this month we have the Gala of Peace from Realmathon, in which I'm taking part. And I really wanted to make sure that I read 1 book over that weekend to have like these 10 extra points for a book read in this period. But also it would allow me to do a little vlog in this one. Normally it's going to be in this one. That is in the same concept of the TBRathon vlogs, because I do enjoy making those. And the book I'm going to wanting to read that weekend is the Le Magicien d'Oz by Maud Royer, and it is translated to English because this is an author from Quebec, and the title is The Bloody Brick Road. If I'm not mistaken, you can check that in my TBR video. But so I picked out for the first week, 2 smaller books that I was pretty sure I would be able to read before the TBRathon weekend. And the first one I picked was this one. It's Robin Hobb. It is called in French, page mark, Les Gardiens des Souvenirs, and it is the first part of the English tome, which is called The City of Dragons. I will have to check. I wrote it down for my TBR and I have forgotten. Yes, City of Dragons. And this is the 3rd book in the Rainwild Chronicles, which is the 4th series in the realm of the Elderlings. So I'm not going to tell you much about it since, well, that would be quite spoilery. But I hoped at the end of the second part of the second book, that's in a vlog somewhere, let me find that for you, that what I found to be like quite a long story, like a little bit boring at sometimes, that in the 3rd volume in English we would have more events, more things going on, maybe more story, and indeed that was the case. So I'm really happy that that is happening, because I really was wondering if I would DNF this series and just skip to the next Fitz part, or I think it's Fitz or something like that, the next series. But no, now I'm completely back invested in the Rain Wilds. So I am mostly certainly continuing this next month. The other book I selected for that period was this one. This is a French only book. It is called Je me souviens Rebecca. It is by Nathalie Somers. And if you speak French, this is an interesting book to read. It got on my wanting to read list because of the premise. So this is historical, and it is historical correct. And maybe you know, maybe you don't. In that case, now you do. I start by reading like the ends of the book, if there is like an author's note or something, because I find it often gives a context to the book that I prefer to know whilst going into that. And I learned several things. One, this whole story is based on a true story of a village, of a family into the village. Everything except the romance in the book. So that to me gave some weight to it, because when I turned this book around, I could discover that this book is from 12 years and older. So it is like on the edge of young adult and middle grade, and I was like, oh no. Because the reason I wanted to read that was the historical context of World War II and this free zone in France that was only invaded on 11th November 42. That did save a lot of mostly Jewish people coming into this zone and then leaving, going to Spain, Portugal. And I didn't know much about that. We learn in school the Belgian part of the world, of the war and everything that was important for our country, but we touched on this free zone, but we didn't really learn about it. And I wanted to see how that was, because part of my family is French. And I was afraid, discovering that this book is young adult, that this would be a little bit too covered up, like too not showing the real horror of things, and maybe so historically less interesting to me than I hoped it would be. Knowing that it is a complete true story to me made me go into that with less of a fear. And indeed, I really enjoyed it. The historical context was very interesting. We are going to follow a young boy who one day sees arrive in his village a girl that is he falls in love with her like on first sight, and he gets motivated to make contact with her, to go into the, at that point not really called resistance, but the resistance movement, in which that in this village, on the lead of the Protestant Catholic pastor, they hide Jews in, and they give them a shelter, they feed them, they take care of them. And he will go into that, and they use these younger boys to run in between the villages, going through fields and woods, because they were way more quicker than to use the roads to warn or bring messages from one farm to the other. And he's going to do that. And so we'll see how this affects his school life, his ideas. And we will see how then at one point the Germans do invade this free zone, and what happens next, how this village continues of saying, we are going to protect these people. And I think it was very beautiful. The romance was very sweet. There basically is no romance. He's in love with this girl, he approaches her, but there is no real romance going on. And the historical context stays the most prominent part of this book, but also how adults react towards all these events, how the children do. And yeah, I'm very happy I read this. I read this like in one sitting at work. So I go to people's houses and I take care of their ill kids, and I had a baby. So this baby did sleep a lot. So I was able to, during one of the longer nap periods, to read this book. It is not that big, and also like the spacing is wider. So it was, and since I was really in it, it went very fast. And then I was through the books that I was going to read that week, and we were only Tuesday. And I always give priority to library reads. So I read the only other big library book, because I'm still waiting for 2 library books that came in, and that was The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Also a book I went in with a little bit of a I would not say anxiety, but some worrying, because I have listened to The Naturals, and I did not enjoy it that much. It was not a bad book. It was just not something I vibed with, and so I was a little bit afraid that this might also be something that I would feel maybe too young or not for me anymore. But oh my gosh, I so loved it. I went into this book knowing that it is about a girl that is going to, she receives a note by, or contact by a lawyer that explains to her that she has been designed as one of the heirs of a very, very, very rich, eccentric person. And to inherit this, and it's like the house, the goods, almost everything, she has to live 1 year in the house that she's getting. But in this house are also living the children and the grandchildren of these men. And they are not as happy with the events, because it turns out that they do not inherit a lot. And so it creates some tension, but also one of them will bring to the attention of, and I always forget, once I'm out of the book, I forget the names of the characters. It's awful. She's called Avery. Avery is informed by one of the grandchildren that everything used to be a game, and so that this is a giant riddle to solve. And they work together, still being a little bit like, do I trust you? To find not only why this inheritance is set up as it is, but also Avery wants to know how come she is in there. Is this a coincidence? Was it just like picked out randomly? Does this man has a connection to her family? Because her mother kept saying, I have a secret about the day you were born. And I really need to read the second book because yes, we will find out like the end of the riddle that's hidden in the house, but we will not find out exactly why Avery was chosen. So I was gripped in this book, and I read it and I finished it like on Thursday evening. So I read it very quickly again because I had 3 days with this little baby, so I had a lot of reading time, and I really enjoyed it. I read a lot at home as well. So yeah, this was a good. I have heard so many people talk about it. I think most people know this book, but if you haven't read it, go for it because it is really fun. And then I got stuck because it still wasn't Friday, so I needed another read. And I have this one, which is not that big, but like I said, I want to keep it for the Gala of Peace. I have this one, which is one I have at home, but it is very thick. So I was like, I'm not going to finish that before the weekend. So I ended up going into the books that are laying around, and I picked out this one. This is Les Anges de Jaipur by Eric Le Nabour. And it is a book that I found in a little free library from the library of Aiden, which this book is taken out of their collections. And I picked that one because the font is quite big. And I thought I would be able to read it quite quickly as well. In the end, I finished it on Monday. So I did have it pending over the weekend. When I picked this out of the little free library, I did that because I wanted to read this for Les Étapes Indiennes, a readathon I took part in last year. We will follow a young couple, they say it's a honeymoon, but it's not. They are on a voyage in India because she has partly grew up there with her adoptive father. And her name is Amy. And his name is Matthias. And Matthias is a diplomat. He is going to be the ambassador, I think it's of France, in Cairo, Egypt. But they are there because Amy absolutely wants Matthias to see and love India, which didn't happen. He didn't love India. Before settling down so far away from where she prefers to be. They met, I think it's in London. And one day she will just set off from Bombay to Calcutta. Because she is like quite uncertain about the marriage, but I never got why after 1 year of marriage things got so strange. There is like some tension, but I couldn't really make out what and wherefore. And so she sets off to Calcutta to go see her adoptive father. They were supposed to go 2 weeks there. And she said, well, leave me 8 days there so I can see all people I need to see because you would get bored. And then the other 8 days of the week, I will be completely there for you. And he gets worried, so he sets off. And when he arrives there, things completely turn weird. She's not at her adoptive father's home. There is always excuses why she's not there. And he, after one evening having dinner and the after dinner drinks, wakes up 4 days later in a kind of hospital where he learns that he has been drugged. He is seen by a police officer, and we will learn that there is a doubt on the identity and the activities of Amy's adoptive father. This book is not translated and probably will not, so this might be quite spoilery. He is suspected of being an art thief and of having connections to the, and I forgot the acronym. It is the political group around Hitler before he became the German emperor, king, president, ruler, the tyrant he became. And well, I know, and we know from Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, that the Germans really were interested in spiritualism and in art. And so this book goes on this tour. So the Colton, the stepfather of Amy has been mandated to find a seal that would give the power to make godly rules of every thing that it is stamped on. And they really want to create like this super race, but also he's secretly looking for a scroll that would contain a lot of information about humans and illnesses, and you could treat everything and basically create the perfect Aryan babies that they tried to create with the Lebensborn program. And Amy will be forced by her adoptive father to go along to Tibet to find those informations, because she can translate the texts that he cannot. And so he will go into literally abducting her and secret locking her up. I cannot say that word in English. To get what he wants, and Matthias, together with the cop, is going behind her to save her. And on the way, we're finding out all this information. This Colton, this is not his real name. We will find out who he is, what he have done in the past, why he hates Matthias so much. And in the end, well, Matthias will save Amy. I was a little bit doubtful about this book because I wanted to create like this very mystical feeling of India, which I didn't get. I really completely passed by the whole Indian setting. They tell it's raining, but you don't feel the rain. So that was something that really saddened me, because I like this Indian atmosphere. And the mystery in itself, it went a little bit in different ways, but it came together in the end, so that was enjoyable. I also really didn't like the really end, the epilogue, which is like some kind of resume of it all, and that adds in the last Brides of Missing information. I went looking up this author, what he has written else and stuff like that, and it turns out that this is an historian. So every bribe of information is, I suppose, historically correct. So maybe not the names of the people, and maybe not the exact storyline, but like the main premise of the ideas in here would probably be correct, and also maybe the way people responded to all that, and like people who got interested and not, and all those things. So that made me enjoy it a little bit more, but it was not my favorite read of the month at all. It can go back to a free little library soon. At the end of the month, I will go put it in another one. And then I've read The Skull by John Clason and Urania the Witch by Barbara Kenapa. And for those resumes, I will send you to the TBR vlog. That's my previous one. I will not redo them. I think we have been talking for a while about books now, and there are still 2 more books. Those are audiobooks. The first one is Le Murmures des Shar by Aiden Fox, that I finished like the 1st or the 2nd of February. I started it in of March. I started it in February. And this is a second book in a trilogy in which you are following a girl that has some kind of how would you call it? It's like not dark. It's called the dark magic. She can work with the dead and summon the dead and things like that. But she doesn't know at the start. Her name is Asia. Her, I remember. And she is some kind of gladiator who is also portraying as someone from high society. She is an orphan. And she is scamming her way through this society to have a good life. And one day she will be discovered as having this magic by the Queen of the Fae. And at the end of the first book, they set off to her kingdom to train Asia in this magic, because this queen is good at it. And in the second book, we will see that this trip to this land will be deviated to some unexpected things, and another place where Asia will learn some other things about her family's history. which will lead her to go through the lens of the dad to get some objects, some magical objects. And there she will learn a lot of other things that will bring her back to the world of the living to counter a complot that is going on. And I suppose that will be the premise of book 3. I hope to come to that this month, but I'm not sure, because I've seen that some books are going out of the Audible included collection, and there's 2 of them that I want to listen to. So I am rushing to listen to those first, since Les Murmures du Shar I am using credits to acquire. The audiobook that I started after that is 9 Dolls, and the author is difficult to pronounce. It's an Indian lady. It will be on the cover of the book next to me. And this is an audiobook that was for my prompts list. And in this book, we are following a group of Indian people who live in the UK. And we will see through their eyes, without it really being like the foreground of the story, how these people have different ways of being integrated into the British society, how some are there longer, some are only arriving, and so they are, the farmers are working, so the tractors are passing by. I suppose you can hear that. We'll have to work with that. And so we will see how this, being as a foreigner in this other country, can be lived by my people. But this whole group of friends, of which we have a core group and then their partners, haven't been really meeting up for 7 years, and now they are doing so in a vacation house in Scotland that is offered for use to them by the partner of one of the friends. And they go there in a period of Navratri, which is an Indian festival. And in mainly the south, they use like a setup with dolls to represent things. It's explained in the book. And so one of the characters is taking these dolls with her, and they are going through the rites of Navratri on this trip. These dolls are not supposed to be touched or moved around during this period, but someone is doing that, and so it's seen as very bad luck. But also it seems that each of the setups that is created reflects back to something, and we know from the start that there is like something heavy between these people. Something happened, and very slowly we will uncover what happened. And once that comes clear, the dolls keep moving, and there are other secrets revealing and other things are on the happening. And the whole book is turned around really knowing what happened so many years ago and all the implications it had and the whole truth about it by the end of this Navratri period. I must be honest, at some point I thought the intrigue was a little bit complicated. Not whilst listening. Things easily made sense. I could follow along, but afterwards, trying to remake it in my head to explain in the summary, I am like, what exactly? It is sometimes a little bit, I would say, it looked too far away for the detailing, and but overall, it was a great, a good book to read, to listen to. What is very fun about the audiobook is that it is read by, except like the one English character, it's read by people from India who have like the typical Indian accent when they speak English, which is very heartwarming to listen to. It does give a lot of information, even in between the lines, about the Indian society and how they live things. So that was very interesting to me. It is like a book that exists that I read that I didn't had an extremely good nor an extremely bad time with. And the main plus of it is the aspect of Navratri and the Indian culture or at least to me, that would make it the main interesting point of this book. These are all the books that I have read like in 11 days. Of course, I have 2 books on the go. And I told you that I was going to show you a little bit more about the things my husband made for me. So one of the things he printed for me, and I will leave his Facebook page in the comments, is this book-shaped box, which is in a very nice filament. It is changing colors with the lighting, in which I keep like all the prompts for my TBR game. So it's made to be in the right size, so I can stack them. He also, and that's more difficult to show, printed me, I will try to insert a clip, printed me a very nice reading lamp for in our bedroom, because we had like a lamp that made a lot more of light, and I tend to have insomnia, so I can read for hours, but he wants to sleep. So he made a lamp that really focuses on my book, which is coming in handy. And he also printed me this book stand, so we can open it. And this comes in handy when I am participating in reading sprints and that I am sitting at my desk instead of dragging a reading chair in the hallway, because this is like a patio in the hallway, so that I am not like cramped in my neck, especially at this moment. I have some muscle problems going on, so it's important. I still need to get the hang of closing this up easily, but I can easily take it with me. It's like very small. And then also, of course, he has made me a lot of little knickknacks and decoration stuff, but he is experimenting also with making bookmarks for me. And he made this leather one who has an imprint on it. And then but the one I'm using now is one of those. We are experimenting with wood, different types of woods and different thicknesses, but also with how it's called. I should have looked that up. Du liège, the thing that grows on oaks. I will put in a picture of that bookmark as well. And we are experimenting with that, and I hope that I can integrate that in a future project of this channel. I am at this point going to say I'll see you soon, and I will come back to you with the updates of my 2 last reads of the Gala of Peace weekend. And I'm hoping to have some images to share with you about our day-to-day life. We have gone back to rain, unfortunately, so there is not much we can do. There is also not many activities organized around us. Take advantage of being in the rogue team for Realmathon, the team which has a cat as a symbol, to do something that in the more than a year now that I am on YouTube, I have never done before. I'm going to present to you in this vlog and in the next one, each one of the 10 cats that we share our lives with. You have seen them run around over my reading journal, my bullet journal. You have seen them maybe in vlogs that we film into the house, but I never took the time to really introduce them to you, to show them, to give you their names, their ages, and so that's what we are going to do today. This is Colossal Helios. He was born in this house and he is almost 4 years old, so he will be 4 on the 4th of April. This little guy is the best friend of Niklaus. He is a very cuddly cat that often spends time with me on my desk. The way he's laying down here, so you don't see it, but when he turns over on the other side, he is all white, which is quite beautiful, but also quite strange if you see that all the spots are just on one side. Kasui! Now, this chatty guy is Colossal's son, and he is called Akazar. I call him Kazui. He is a typically orange cat that is quite investigative of his environment. He loves to play, but he also loves to cuddle with me. He's always in movement. It's very difficult to have him not running around somewhere. Kasui! He has a little particularity. It's when he meows, he has like some wind coming through. We don't really know how that could happen, but it's his voice and it's okay. This little guy is called Locke, and his name has a whole story. In French, the word Locke means like a piece of tissue that is used to clean up very dirty things. But I called him that way because of an expression that is se sentir comme une loque ou être une loque, which is used when people feel very bad, very ill, like having no energy and even maybe no muscle tension. And when he was a little kitten, because yes, he was born here, he was born in the same litter as Akazar. They both will be 3 next month. And he was very cuddly and very like, oh, just take me around, just move me around. He was very sweet. He's a little bit more nervous now that he has grown a little bit, more playful. And so we called him like that, but we didn't want to register him as Locke in the sense of the piece of tissue. So we decided to write it L-O-C-K-E, like the character in Holy Black Folk of the Air trilogy, which I was reading back then. And so we used that way of writing his name. He is very sweet and very investigating, very discreet, like most black cats. We have hiding under the table Azrael. Azrael is the father of Colossal Helios and thus the grandfather of Locke and Akazar. This is where the orange cat gene is coming from. He is the cat of our son Naoki, and we adopted him from a litter. He was the leftover kitten in the litter of a friend of mine. And we had kittens that were born too early and that didn't survive. They weren't unable to digest their milk. And so unfortunately, we couldn't save them. And Naoki was so affected by that because we did put them in under a heat lamp. We did sleep next to them to feed them every 2 hours. So he was very affected when they died. And so we adopted this cat for him, and it's one of the best choices we have ever made. They are very best friends, and Azrael is like on his guards because we put Eggy in the hole, since that he became a little bit jealous of all the attention going to the cats. But he and Eggy are very good friends, and he's also a very big support for Naoki with his autism. Azrael is really an anchor in his life, and they sleep together, Naoki and Azrael, always, which is very special. Azrael will be 5 at the end of this year. He's from December. And not to get you confused, but we have another tuxedo cat. This is Meliodas. You can make the difference between him and Locke because Meliodas has this white spot on his forehead. But that's also the only link they have. Melio is a parent to nobody of the cats in this house. He will be 8 soon, and he has been found next to my husband's excavator in one of the quarries he worked in. Someone left a box with 3 kittens near the excavator, and his colleague, who is a farmer, took 2 of them, and they live on the farm. And Meliodas came to our house. He has always been the most quiet and the most sleepy cat of them all. He does not run around. He never has zoomies. He is just always laying on top, the preference of me, but anyone else will do as well. He is very sweet. It's Sunday evening and it is time to close up this vlog. But before I leave you, I still have to give you 2 book reviews. The first one will be quite quickly. It is the Animal Castle Volume 4. And I finished this graphic novel and with that also the series that this is from. So there is not much I really can tell you about this book since it is the last volume. But it is concluding the story that we started in the first one, which is a retelling of the animal farm, but also with elements from Gandon's nonviolence resistance, and in which the animals on this farm that are highly oppressed by other animals that are the rulers and their milice, they, in all these books, we will follow along how the animals will do their resistance. And in this book, we have the conclusion of it all, and we know if they are successful or not. I enjoyed reading this series. It is translated in English, but in English there are more volumes. If you're interested in this subject, then I highly recommend this series. The images are beautiful, but this is not a comic series to put in the hands of younger children. It is quite graphic. So the violence that is in there is shown exactly in the brutal way that it is, and it is meant to be shocking in that way. So not for children, but for people who are interested in the themes of the nonviolence resistance and animal farm. This is a graphic to explore. You have see me read this book. This is Le Magicien d'Oz by Maud Royer. It is part of the Forbidden Tales. In English, it is called The Muddy Brick Road. This is a book in the collection of the Forbidden Tales. This means that you go in this book knowing that you are going to read a horror that is meant to be thought-provoking, that is going to touch on a very sensitive subjects, that will be full of trigger warnings. If you're interested in the book, keep in mind that you need to look up all of that, because they are quite graphic. So I intended to read this book over the weekend, and in the end I read it in the course of just one day. I started reading early, Saturday morning whilst I woke up. And often it's my sleeping day and my husband goes off to the groceries, and I read until he came back home, and then we had breakfast, and then I just continued reading. So good it is. Well, good. It is horrible, but in the horror and in what it does, it is good. So this is a Wizard of Oz retelling, but with a retelling, you don't have to expect that it will take the story and just change it up. It is not the classical way of retelling. It is taking the elements and using them into the context of the story. So this story will have it has a prologue, which is from in the 1990s, 1994 to be exactly, in which we meet Dorothy, who at that point is 18 years old. And in just one day, her whole world is collapsing. Not a little bit, entirely. In a very brutal way, and maybe also a way that seems quite unrealistic. And I hope nobody has had a day like that, like the way she has in this story. But the way this intro is meant to represent the tornado that swipes her out of her world and takes her into a world in which all rules and all everything you know is different. So we are not going into a fantasy world. We are jumping 20 years ahead in time. We are going to 2022, in which Dorothy will, maybe by accident, learn something that will set off a whole revenge plan. So I have seen people saying like, well, the mystery is too obvious. You know from the start who's the killer in this book. The reason that this is happening is the whole subject of this book. It is not who has done it, it is why this person has done it. And we will see how during the story the elements of the Wizard of Oz are sometimes very obvious and sometimes ask for some reflection. How to say without spoiling, because I feel like we will have a set of very bloody murders. I would say criminal minds, completely crazy people murders. And we will have also the investigation. So we will be in the head mostly of the main investigator, who also has some very dark secrets to hide. And the reflection of that is quite interesting, but also it is somehow needed. Some people say like the ending is not nice. The ending is exactly how it should be. But I'm just going to say, if you love a good horror and if you are up for some very so it is mostly body horror in this one, if you are up for some thought-provoking but also triggering themes, then go for it. I think it is worth the read. Like, it's the fourth one I read in this series, and I enjoyed all of them. If you're not up for that, don't try. Because the back doesn't say that much, but it is a setup of this series to be like this. So I highly enjoyed it. It gripped me. Like I said, I read it in one day. So for me to be able to read it in one day and to go like, kids go play, leave mommy alone, that must mean that it was something that really, really hooked me in it. So it is a super read. So with that, I'm going to close up this vlog. There is a lot of books in it. I had a super start of March reading. I cross my fingers that it will go on like that, because I have still a few interesting books on my TBR. And I hope that it was the same for you. Please let me know in the comments if you had an as good reading period as I did. I hope you enjoyed meeting finally face-to-face all of our male cats. The females will be in the next vlog. And I hope that you will stick around to see that one. If you're interested, you can always subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss our next carousel vlog. See you soon!